said that. I said, hey now.
Hey now. Hey
Hey
now.
now. Hey now. Hey now. Hey now. Frenchman coming down, huh? Hey now. Fucking up the clowns, huh? Hey now. Check off the repertoire. Hey now. Jacking up the laws now. Hey now. The mighty bishops, they fighting grand. The mighty chaplains in the black sedan. Or will they pull out the shotgun and shoot it with cheese? All the faggot bishops start a cotton bag, please, huh? Hey now. Hey now. Hey now. Hey now. Chaplain!
Hey now.
Where are you?
Hey now.
Sound off, brothers, I need you.
Hey now.
Fort Greene, Mau Mau's, Canarsie, Moss.
now.
Hey, Blood. Hey, Signatory.
Hey
Hey,
now.
Chico, hey, Chain, where are you, man?
Hey now.
They fucking me up.
Hey now.
Ain't even giving me a fair one.
Hey now.
The Patty Boys have taken over the city.
Hey now.
They fucking up our brother clubs, man.
Hey now.
Even our enemies, the Roman lords,
Hey now.
are calling it cool to fight those hordes of snow people.
Hey now.
They fucking up our dabs.
Hey now.
Raping them and slitting their
Hey
throats.
now.
Brownsville, Bushwick, Bed-Stuy,
Hey now.
Black Harlem, Spanish Harlem, and South Bronx.
Hey now.
Got to get together.
Hey now.
Oh yeah, Gino!
Hey now.
Go where the country's bad, man.
Hey now.
Tell them to get the big people.
Hey now.
And Gino, tell country them faggots got all kinds of
Hey
heat, man.
now.
Machine guns, rifles, pistols, and
Hey
tanks.
now.
And they're using them.
Hey now.
Tell them they blew up Harlem, Newark, Detroit, and Watts.
Hey now.
And my aunt got shot in the head
Hey now.
just for looking out the window, man.
Hey now.
Viceroy!
Hey now.
Dragon!
Hey now.
Midget!
Hey now.
Hey, Batman.
Hey now.
They put you in for life for killing one of those devils.
Hey now.
But don't worry about it, bruh.
Hey now.
We gonna blow those fucking walls down.
Hey now.
And not with no rams on either.
Hey now.
Fuck it, bro, we gonna kill those motherfuckers!
Hey now.
And we gonna name you one of the war counselors.
Hey
One of the
now.
war counselors of our new clique.
Hey now.
A clique, baby, that will tear this
Hey
motherfucking
now.
nation apart.
Hey now.
Can you get to that, Batman, huh?
Hey now.
Tell a brother in your cell.
Hey now.
A clique of millions and millions of people.
Hey now.
Red, black, yellow, and brown.
Hey now.
Batman, don't worry about it. Cause the shit is on! Hey now. Hey now.
What's up? What's up? Lordship in the building. Want to say hello to some of the people that stepped into the room. Let's see here. Grown folks in the and Key Deadman in the building. And I told everybody that I got somebody who was actually there at the riots. You know what I'm saying? During 1968. Oh. Yeah. But hold on. We're going to get you on the air, though. We're going to get you on the air. I'm going to put the phone up to the speaker. We got to give you a secret name so nobody won't know who you is. So we're going to call you three. No. We're going to call you 313X. 313X. All right.
Yeah, well, that's what you call me. That's something.
All right, so we got you live on air. All right, we need some of that powerful theme music in the background because I know you're about to say some powerful stuff. Yeah, shout out to Tracy by Nature and Cherie Baby and Michelle 25. It's gonna be crazy, not crazy, but it's gonna be off the hook. You're gonna see the pro-black side of Lordship. And Lordship got 313X in the building, who was actually there when the 1968 riots was going on in Detroit. He's going to break it down for you. So let's test the mic out. Test 1, 2. Say something.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
Oh yeah, you coming in on all 6 cylinders. And grown folks got this black fist up. I'm just letting you know that grown.
Well, I'm gonna come off my speaker because that caused feed.
Okay. They said they.
Does that sound better?
No, everything's no. It sounded good the first time. It sounded good the first time. And grown folks said you loud and clear. We got some fellas, some ladies, and gentlemen in the building. And one of the major differences between then and now is the technology and surveillance. You know, before you needed some photographers and some walkie-talkies and some eyeballs, but now the detectives and investigators don't even have to leave their office. And Ali the Sage just walked into the building. So I'm gonna let we're gonna change the mode a little bit, and we're gonna let 313X break down the riots and what's going on, and then Crow related into what's going on today.
Well, that riot, the riot, the one that I was, first one I ever seen was in like 67, 68, somewhere, right in between there somewhere. And I was down in Detroit in a theater. Now, they did make a movie of the riot.
They sure did.
Yeah, but you have to be careful.
Because they rewrite history, right?
Well, you got to remember, white supremacists they're always going to write something that's going to present them on top. They're always going to twist it and show weird personalities, especially of Afro-Americans. Now, I do admit that quite a few Afro-Americans, a lot of them is ignorant, which means you don't know. And a lot of them is just stupid. But it's a result of post-trauma of being persecuted for over 400 years. So when you persecute somebody like that for that long, the generation itself would take a while to turn around. The black man, I want to say African or whatever the dark race is, and including some light-skinned folks, so there are a lot of mix, but the black man is the most hated man in the world. And he's the most easily picked up. One thing about the right race is this, that they're getting desperate as the time go along. The white race, what they do is that they plan 15, 20, 25 years down the line. It's their intention to continue to control, and they want to set it up, and they'll set it up pretty good because all the money that they stole from slavery and all the free slavery that they got. So they was able to get a head start. Blacks couldn't get loans. If blacks had their own business, especially in Oklahoma, where Black Wall Street was burnt down, the first person that ever really started rioting were the white Americans or the Caucasian. They started the first riots. And they the one that used to riot all the time. That's all they did. Whites always fought with one another, even in Europe, back before Germany and stuff. They was always blowing up and fight.
Now hold on. Hello? Hello? Hold up. Technical difficulties. Let me cut this Bluetooth off. And this is a show with someone. I studied minority psychology in school, and one of the great things was in minority psychology you have a lot of guests, and those guests will speak on what they actually experienced, instead of not only getting it from a book or whatever. My minority psychology class, for lack of better names, will have an actual guest from different movements that happen in the area that I live and history and stuff like that. So I got 313X. It's a code name, so we won't give away his real identity. He was born in that time where he was old enough to be around during the 1968 riots in Detroit. And so these views and opinions are his own, and he's speaking from experience and somewhat authority. So I'm gonna let him tell it and continue to speak. Okay? All right, go ahead. Hold up. One second. Technology, boy. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, there was a Motown Records was in Detroit at the time, and during the summer they would give some shows downtown at what was called the Fox Theater, and so we used to go down there. So they used to have the Motown Review, but then they got so they would have another little small show in between the once or twice a year Motown reviews, and we was down there. When they made a movie of it, they did show certain entertainers that was there that day. I was in the show, and I don't know if Martha and the Vandellas or whoever was on stage at the time. Anyhow, the singing stopped, and people began to smell smoke inside the show. So they just came through the curtains and say, "Hey, the show has stopped," and they say, "And we have to, clear out the show because we were smelling fire." So when I finally got outside, I seen smoke, fire trucks, people moving, running. It was the craziest thing I ever seen, And there was a riot was going on at the time, and they're all sort of similar. The same way. Now they claim that riot started because the policeman had a teenager, either he killed the teenager or something like that. It's always when you have these outbreaks is one of our biggest enemies is the government, the United States government. I call it they call it the U.S. government or the United States government. I call it the United States. United States, because black people walking around here thinking that they're citizens, but what they are is they're prisoners of war, and that's what Afro-Americans is in this country, prisoners of war. A lot of Afro-Americans try to, if some of them is mixed or real light skin or something like that, they call them house niggas, and I'm not talking about people that's light skinned, but if you're light skinned, you're just light skinned. But during slavery time, a lot of light skinned people, they sort of was separating a little bit because it was real close to whatever the slave masters had been laying up with some of those black women, and they ended up with some kids like that. Some of them kids was his, so he wouldn't just always throw them out there in the yard with the rest of the slaves. He'd have them near the house or something like that. So that's here and there. But anyhow, these riots are started by the government. And the police is a buffer. Now, the question is, who is over the police? We know who's over the White House. You know who be over the FBI. They always tell you that. And you know who be over the Secret Service. But you never know who's over the police. But they are a buffer unit. Now, most riots are started. They spark it off, the government do, because of the control of the people. If you want to keep people controlled, one of the things you do is you have to also try to brainwash them. What you do is you keep them arguing with one another. You keep them confused. And even back in the Roman days. He said, entertain them. So American people love entertainment. They spend a lot of hours watching football, baseball, and all this stuff. They never really keep an eye on what the government is doing or saying. Even the white American has planned on getting rid of some of their own people. Matter of fact, they sacrifice their own, and they'll call it a sacrifice. Now, you notice that this uprising that they've been having here, and it's been across many cities in the United States, and it's not been a lot of white folks killed, but it's been more blacks killed. How's all these white folks, and there ain't been too many of them killed? And so if you notice in a lot of your riots, the whites are. Now, if it was just blacks out there, they'd have pulled their guns out and started shooting a long time ago. But what I want to warn Americans is, if you don't have a police record, I advise everybody to get you a gun. Get you a gun some kind of way. Right now, gun selling might be touched for a minute. Because I was online the other night, and I went off into a gun site. Again, when I got ready to order, it said that you won't be able to buy it this time. So all you who got guns and pistols and everything, get you some ammunition. Because this is what I'm saying. Since they gonna kill you anyhow, black people need to learn to stand up and fight back. One thing about it is, there's too many black, especially our brothers, are cowards. Because we see our people slaughtered and shut down so bad, sometimes you just have to learn to keep your mouth shut and wait until it's time to open your mouth. Now, I think that the real war is going to break out after everybody get through demonstrating. Now, white supremacy, what they did is they seen that cop kill that man in front of the world. And what they saying is, this is what we do. And they so ingrained in their court system, it's so ingrained in their prosecutors, and everybody is crooked. And everybody is on the tape. Black people in this country only have 1% of wealth in this country. Even the Arabs own 25%. And if you notice, the Spanish people, they have a lot of jobs. They're in prominent places. And I'm quite sure some of you that can work, that's Afro-American, that know what I'm talking about. And so, even the Asians, they're supposed to be some of the most hated folks. And the white man dropped the bomb on them. And they went to Vietnam. Now you got Vietnam restaurants over here and everything. Whenever they do something to a people, they get some restoration behind it.
All right. Well, hold on, sir. I just want to let you know that the chat room is listening and they like what you're saying. They say keep teaching, and my mom had me marching, and people are agreeing with you in the chat room. And I've been trying to tell people this all the time, and they really they're listening. And what I want to do is let you take one quick break if you want to get a glass of water, and we'll continue. I'm just going to play another poem by the Last Poets.
Takes it out into the street. Into the street. Black children, thousands of black children, moving in time with magical black street sounds. Magical sound.
My mute.
Moving, magical moving sound. Like the Temptations.
I know you're gonna leave me, but I refuse to let you go.
Yeah, and the Supremes.
My world is empty without you, baby.
And the impression. The impression that we're a winner. We're a winner because we're moving on up until some lifeless merchant turns off the sound.
We're back on the air with 313X, and he's breaking down 1968 and beyond, all the way to 2020, and he's giving you some history of the riot that he was actually in and got. The riot just happened, and if you out, then you in it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna let him speak some more. Here we go. Hello?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm not gonna go too long tonight. It's a little bit too much. I've been studying too long in this area, and I would advise people, if they believe in. I believe in the Lord. I believe in God. I believe in Yahshua, which a lot of people call him Jesus, and so that's a part of what I'm about. I'm not about what's going on here on earth, but you got to get your own spirituality, I think, right. But the thing of it is, it's the elimination and the denigration of the black race. You have what you call ADUS, the Afro-Americans, the ones that descended, the ones that reparation is owed to, is the ones that family was here during slavery time. Now, like I say, these riots, a lot of times, is caused by the white supremacists. The white supremacists has been at this for a few thousand years. And they could have been at it for at least 15,000 years. Now, when you check their history, one of the oldest that will go back will be the black race, and then you also have the Asians. Asians have long history. There are even some books that wrote in the Bible, and when they begin to put those canon books together, it said this is from the book of Asia. So that would take you way back in that part of the country. But anyhow, black people are just attempt to annihilate. Now, this uprising that you see is a pretty big one, but the problem is that when the people hit the street, especially the black, they really didn't go out there with a plan. They just went out there. You got to remember, when you're going out there against the white supremacy, they have a plan. They have war strategies. That's what these people is about. They're barbarians. They're about war. And they always been like that. And to tell you the truth, they're different from the black race. The black race is even though in Africa where they villages are sometimes a strong village would attack another village and things would happen, murder and stuff like that. But for the most part, when the Africans used to go out in the jungle and hunt animals, what they would do is they would always leave a way for the animal to get up. He would not be four-cornered, he would be three-cornered. And if that animal is good enough to get away, they got to be good enough to get him, even though they left him a way out. Why? Because the food, the meat was better. When you corner an animal and startle him like that and he has no way out, that's a terrible death for that animal to die. And so even the food, even the meat from that animal tastes different from an animal that died all of a sudden that didn't know anything and wasn't startled. The African, he has to be good enough with his tracking down animal to leave a way out, but normally he can get it before he get out, even if he's shooting a bow and arrow or throwing a spear or maybe even shooting. Afro-Americans and black people are different from the white race. This is why you see them being dominated, even though they sit on the most richest part of the world. They've been set with all the gold and diamonds and minerals that they have there. But the way that they are, they're not really strong warrior kind of people. They're more sacred religious kind of individuals, but they're not these great big warriors in the white race where they take advantage because they're barbarian. Now you would think, well, you must hate those people. No, I don't. But you need to know who your enemy is. You need to size your enemy up. When the army goes to war, they find out who they're going to be fighting. They find out where they're going to take the fight at. They're going to be finding out what they need to get into that fight. And when these people hit the street, they went out there without a plan. And you got to watch them because the white supremacists is out there too. And where they tearing down and they're burning up, tearing up everything. Don't let them hit you. Blacks are not really, back in the day when 68 riot was in Detroit, yes, black people own more businesses on the main street. So therefore, when the riot started, yes, some black businesses went up in smoke because it was more closer to home. This particular movement, they're into the part where the stores is and where buildings where they've been putting up. You notice in your cities and stuff, they're always building these buildings and they're building all this stuff. You want to know where did all this money coming from? And so therefore, this was a little different because they hit the downtown areas. They went to going to Hollywood or different areas in New York, and they hitting all these expensive stores and stuff like that, and all the shops, and it's a little different because you got to remember they saying that what you're doing is you're tearing your neighborhood. No, you ain't. Blacks don't have nothing but a little neighborhood. They don't even have a community no more. Black people don't have no community. Your community has been filled in by foreigners that they bring in. They bring in, you got more rappers from the Caribbean out, and ain't as good as the Afro-Americans anyhow. But as the young kids coming up, that's all they see, so that's what they like. The white supremacists start these riots and stuff like that. They love, you see how they just love, they just got all these police and everything, but it is a strain on them financially. That's where God plays a part in it. Now this virus, even though they say, well, it's going to kill more blacks, 80,000 blacks died in 1918. 80,000 blacks died just before the virus got here. Black people is always susceptible to diseases and stuff. They get the worst health care. Most of them is out of work, can't work, or when you get to work, you don't want to work there.
So in 1968, many black neighborhoods rioted, but was the first riot in Detroit and then everybody else rioted too?
Well, this is what happened. The unique thing about that is that people were working and the factories was open. So, Detroit had a lot of auto factories. So you had a working class there. And you got to remember, what happened is that the Afro-American got comfortable. They did not come together and try to build them an organization or to get them a gun club or to get them exact where they can get around. It's hard for them folks to work together when you've been persecuted for 400 years. And as the slaves go, they don't want you coming together. They don't want you sitting down strategizing nothing. That's why they keep you confused. That's why they keep you entertained. That's why they keep you don't know what your sex is. That's why they take the males and try to make all them bitches. If you can get a bunch of bitches, then they don't have to. That's why you see a lot of homosexuals and stuff on real high-level jobs and stuff. There's no threat to the white man. But a real warrior, black guy, is a threat. Now, what I will do is the generation that's in this movement here, I'm going to take my hat off to them. I'm going to take my hat off to them because they got their butts out there. That's like the Millennium and Group X. Mostly Millennium. Group X is that 50 age on back. So, compared to this here, what's going to happen is nothing. White supremacists are very stubborn. The white supremacists don't want to give up their power. So in Detroit, the crowds got so big and was so rowdy that the police got so they really couldn't handle them. But what they did was they called in the National Guard. And when they called the National Guard in, the National Guard came in, that's when the curfew started jumping off. So that first night or two of curfews, people be a little slow about going in. And so it be on. You know, it was tanks in the street and everything. And that's why I was telling you, in a lot of your American cities, they'll only make it one lane. They're supposed to be working on infrastructure. But if you notice, they're always working on curves and trying to get the bus stop right and turning 2 or 3 lanes into one lane. So when they get ready to come down that street with that tank and everything, it's just going to be one thing to get in that street. And they're designed, look like that's how they've been designing like that. They ain't been working on no bridges and all that stuff, but they have been working on streets and curves and try to get the street and narrow the street up some, you know, in order to be an attack on the American. An attack, there's too many people that the ruling class think that they have in the world. This virus, they also put this virus out, and it bite them a little bit too, working in the laboratories. What they do is they get these scientists and they buy them out, and instead of the scientists developing medicine that'll help people, they have them to make war medicine. Like back in 1918 with the Germany, they came out and had some kind of virus out, and they damn near killed out half of the German army when they came out with the doggone virus. The Black Plague came out. See, that's what you got. The plague that you have now is racism and hatred for Black Afro-Americans. That's the biggest plague, and we've been had that plague on us as it is. Black America, you're nothing but a prisoner of war. And you got to remember, in 1968, Black people had more jobs. They had more businesses. They had homes, and they had families and stuff. And what happened was, when they start this uprising like that, and the factories was also, they had plans on moving them out anyhow. In certain parts of the country, they build it back. But back in the Detroit area, they didn't bother to try to build it back. Where they going to build it back from? You know, for who? So they shipped all that business. They let the foreigners come in and bring all their business. Now, you got to remember.
Well, check this out. Hold on. Could a Black man always buy a GM car or work for GM or be a car salesman for GM or anything like that? Was there a time when a Black man couldn't even buy a GM, but he could buy any other car?
Well, I know about the hiring practices. When I began in the late 60s to get off into the auto industry, one of the first ones that I was able to go to work was Chrysler Corporation. And Ford Motor Company also had begun to hire Blacks.
But nobody even knew what a GM plant was, and they didn't even.
Yeah, we all knew about GM plants.
But you didn't know where it was, and you didn't.
Well, in the Detroit area, there was a Cadillac dealer.
Yeah.
In West Detroit, and there was a Chevrolet dealer in another spot. But most of the factories that was in the Detroit area were most of the.
Oh, okay.
Probably was one of the last ones to hire Blacks of the GMs. Now, me, myself, is coming up, you know, as an individual paying the world and worldly things and stuff like that. I always, even though I worked at Chrysler, I always liked the GM cars, especially Cadillacs, stuff like that, and Buicks. And back then, you know, it was the big car thing, you know, and what we was into. And GM used to make quite a few nice cars. But, you know, they're no longer, even as far as I'm concerned, in the United States, their offices and stuff are scattered. So you got to remember, two leaders get together. And one leader said, you know, the people are getting rowdy. In China, they began to have an uprising there. In Korea, they had an uprising there. In Russia, they had an uprising there. In England and Germany, they had uprising there. So what these leaders do, they saying that the people on the earth in these countries are starting to uprise, especially when people get dissatisfied with the government. And normally when white people get dissatisfied because, they have a privilege, freedom of privilege, and they're not used to being quarantined or nothing else. And so the leaders get together and say, and what they do is they'll create a war. And what they do is they'll try to get all the males. Because what they want to do is they want to get all the aggressive males and get them killed, because that's the most dangerous thing against the government is aggressive males. And it's always been like that. Even back in the biblical times when the Hebrew people was around, they was out to get the aggressive males. That's why they take census. Don't do no census. Census is a bunch of bull crap and it's a bunch of lies. They tell you that they're going to add more money to your community. Have they added any more money to the black community? The black people don't own nothing. They don't have a store. They ain't got no banks. They have destroyed us financially. They're destroyed us in our sexuality or knowing who we are. They destroyed us so we won't even go back and know who our history is, and we know where our people basically come from. We've been destroyed psychologically, and what they do is they put all these rap songs out here and all this other crap, get your mind in baseball and football, and you don't concentrate. But I'm warning black people as I close, because there's too much to say in this one setting. You better keep an eye on what's going on. You're being annihilated. You're being murdered, being killed. If you got any grandkids, or if you got any boy babies, or nephews and stuff, you better at least start praying for them. Because the black man is a dangerous species in this world today. If you notice, even with this coronavirus going on, the police still find time to kill us. Nobody can take a break and say, but the coronavirus going on, we're not going to mess with nobody. We're just going to treat everybody right. But you got to remember, in order for the white supremacists to stay in power, they must murder and kill and rob and steal like they've been doing. But I guarantee I'm going to tell you that it's going to come to an end. And it's going to come to an end sooner than what you think. Those policemen that's not have that much charge put on them, until they do, I think that the riots will continue to keep on. It's going to be some bloodshed. But the people that's out there now, they defenseless. They need to prepare themselves when they go out there. And they need to come out there ready. They need to come out there and ready to ball. I take my hat off to these young folks that's out there balling, especially the young black ones. They know their lives are at danger, but they know they ain't got no future in this country the way that they've been treated. And so they ain't got nothing to lose because they're killing you anyhow. And since they want to kill you anyhow, let them bring it. Take some of them out. Take some of them out. You can do it. They did it in Detroit. Detroit brought the National Guard in, and they was there for a minute, but Detroit kept rocking and rolling, especially at night. They kept rocking and rolling. And you have these black militia groups that they're undercover. They're not like the Black Panthers are still around, but they all together different from the Black Panthers. And you got to remember, even though the police got technology, the average baby got technology now. My grandson got technology all up the yang-yang. You got technology, you can tell when the police is in the area. That's why they're a little bit more organized, because they can get on their phones and they can text and they can let know where everybody's going. But it's one thing, you don't really have a leader. And nowadays, if blacks, our leaders are undercover. Our leaders are online. Our leaders are not on TV. Our leaders are not in the White House. Forget about voting. That's the biggest crap and the biggest falsity that ever was. Never go back to a voting poll again. Your Democrats is not going to do nothing for you. They're a bunch of demons. And your Republicans, you know they ain't going to do nothing. Forget about the Green Party and the Tea Party, because they're not going to do nothing for you. You got to remember, all those parties are ran by white people. They're not going to do anything for you, but they're going to want to know what's going on when you don't vote. You want to get their attention? Stay away from the voting poll. So these riots that you see, and I've seen a couple of big ones. They had one in L.A. What happened? After everything settled down, everything goes back to the norm. Everything goes back to the norm. If you got somebody that's going to promise to pay the black people for their ancestors for help building this country and didn't get no money, the white people owe us. And we're not going to ask for it no more. We're not going to ask for it, and we're going to come take it. And that's what we're going to do. And it ain't going to be as many of us as of them. We ain't going to have the weapons that we have of them because God, the power of God, going to be behind us. If you look in that Old Testament, you'll see where it was always less people dealing with the many. So we just got power behind us coming up above. And anything that you want in this life, you're almost going to have to take it because they ain't going to want to give it to you. So you got to be careful. Keep your eyes open.
We're buffering.
And, okay.
They attacking us. That we buffering.
Yeah, they're attacking you. But I'm through right now. And then you go on and clear it out. And in the near future, I'll speak again. And I'll stick more to the point because there's so much to say.
Well, we'll talk to 313X from Motown once again. I just wanted to introduce him to you and let you see that there is other sides to this show, and we let people have freedom of speech and freedom of opinion. And I do not interject. I let them state their case, state the facts of the matter from personal experience. And I will be talking about the technology side of this protest and how it affects this protest and how this protest is different than the old protests of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And if you hang on for that, I promise you won't regret it. And I'm going to play another piece by the Last Poets as I talk to 313X behind the scenes, and we'll carry on with the show.
I often sit and stare at the sea. Stare at the sea. Stare at the sea and dream at the sea. And hope hopes. And wish wishes. And lately I listen to the wind. Listen to the wind. Listen to the wind sing as it dances a beautiful dance.
I often sit
but these
and stare
moments
at the sea.
Never seem to last. Never last too long. Cause after the singing, dancing wind, after the hope and dreams and wishes, after you and me in a stolen moment of happiness, after a glimpse of the timeless natural universe, moving in effortless rhythm, comes the stark reality of today. Today comes grinning his fiendish, all-knowing grin. Today, his ugly face pressed firmly against mine. Today, staring at me with light in his eyes. Today, washing away all memories of yesterday's seeds, destroying hopes and dreams, crushing wishes. Today is a killer.
Today is a killer by the Last Poets, and all these poetry pieces is from 1968. The Last Poets, they have an album. I think it was called Right On or something like that. But that last piece is hard. I'm going to start this song over too. Today is a killer. That piece is cold. Yeah, all that other stuff gots to stop. All that other drama. And it was getting too hard for the radio. It started to go redline. It started to glitch out. And I said, they coming for us. Let's sign out and come back another time. He's from that generation. He's a grandfather. He worked since he was 12. He worked in the factories. He worked, hard worker, man. And he worked most of his life. I think he's only been retired maybe 3 years. He should be in his early 70s. So now let me find this one little artwork. This is the only part that I was unprepared for. And yeah. See, this part is an angle that people don't talk about. And we're going to break down the riot on a technical level. And I want you to know that over 900 people have been arrested in Los Angeles because of technology and stuff. And even when the Rodney King riots happened, there were people that were arrested months after the riot because of technology. So I'm looking for this NSA artwork, and I don't see it, so I'm gonna have to go to my sources. For any of my students in the audience, I'll click image, and I'm gonna type in NSA. Now clicking OK. Now this computer is tripping. It's been tripping for a while, so I just got another I got another computer, and I've been trying to program it, but it's going to take a while. The Lord bless me with a better laptop now after all this time. This one is barely cutting the mustard. So here we go. I'm gonna put this artwork up. That looks strange. All right. This is why this is a different protest now. Yeah, cameras are everywhere. How you doing, Patty Paradox, and anybody else I didn't see in the crowd? Welcome everyone, Fundi Fee, and everyone. Shout out to everyone, Key Dad, man, grown folks. So the confirmation is going to be crazy. We don't just have, we have the technology, and then we have overlapping confirmation. You see what I'm saying? My wife was coming home. She parked and she ran into a neighbor, and the neighbor was hopping into an Uber, and he said that he was on his way to the protest. Okay? So the Uber that he called is confirmation that he had a ride to the protest and that he went, because you can see it on the Uber map where he went. Even if he was in his own car, his own GPS would have said he went to that area. And then he has his phone in his pocket that confirmed it, and about 10 apps on his phone confirmed it, and then the phone company confirmed it, and then his smartwatch confirmed it, and then the cameras in the area confirmed it, and then all the Wi-Fi's around that area that could tap into him, because even the phone companies have Wi-Fi in the ground. They make it seem like it's for you to use if you, like, let's say you with AT&T. So one of the perks would be that wherever AT&T have underground Wi-Fi, you'll be able to tap into it with your car automatically, and you'll be able to tap into it with your devices if you're near it, and no matter what neighborhood you're in. But those Wi-Fi's, just like the cell tower, will be confirming your presence. And before, everybody had to get their information through the phone company, because the phone companies were the only ones that had the knowledge of where you was at through the cell towers. But with the help of the Wi-Fi in people's homes and businesses, it triangulates and gives your exact location, and it says you're in this area, but you're over here, and you went from here to there. And some of these apps that's on your phone may check your whereabouts every 3 seconds, every 5 minutes, every hour, every 23 minutes. We don't know what's the default setting. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, they're collecting faces. Everything has a RFID, your money. There was a time when you could bring as much money as you wanted on a plane and go somewhere. You go into Vegas, you bring all this money. But the money has RFID, RF tags, so they will know if you have more than $10,000 on you, and they're going to question you about it. They're going to say, why you have all this money? You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, if you went to go riot, and you know how we love our phones and our handheld devices, right? Because you cannot text your friend and say, let's go hit, yo, let's go hit the Gucci store. You can't text your friend. You can't. Now, there is a way to communicate, and there's a way to send messages. You can use a system that you have to pay for with cryptocurrency. You can use VPN blockers and stuff. You can also go back to the ham radio or the CB. They wouldn't see that coming. They wouldn't see that coming a mile away. They would get worried if blacks and minorities start using CB and ham radio, because they do. The militias and everybody else, they broadcast every day. And at night, when the sky is not that busy, you could bounce a signal out off the ionosphere, and your signal might end up in Russia somewhere. So, yeah. And like I said before, the pager has not left. 1 million people in America still use pagers, but you get page coded messages with the pager. When somebody call you, they have to pay 32 cents, but that's okay. But you would need throwaway phones. I guess nobody learned anything from that movie Breaking Bad. You know what I'm saying? They pinging they pinging you every day. All right. But look what you're doing. You're saying, hey, look at me. You know how many people posted to World Star and everything? Watch me knock this dude out. Oh, we just hit this store. Hey, hold my camera. This dude he been filming for like 4 hours, and then he tells somebody to hold his phone and film him. So after all that time, he docks himself and actually show his own face. And you don't know, when a crime is being committed and you're there, you are an accessory. And then I'm just saying that they already arrested 900 people in LA. They used this technology back in the Rodney King era But now it's even better. It's like it's way, way, way better. So your car GPS will tell where you went if you was in the vicinity. There were some guys that I watched on the news. They had their license plate covered, right? And they ran in the store, did their thing, came out, took the covers off their license plate, and drove off because they didn't want the police at the barricade to see that their license plate was covered because it would look suspicious, right? But they never looked up in the air. There was a helicopter filming the license plate, filming them taking the paper off. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, somebody stole a police horse, and that's cute. But you know, Google make face recognition software. And do you remember the girl that was tweaking? She was twerking on top of a car, and then she made the mistake of interviewing with the news because she wanted to be famous. She wanted to get views. She wanted people to, you know what I'm saying? So they wrote her a citation. They found her and wrote her a citation. You know, if you really want to go out there and protest and raise the roof, leave your phone at home. They're recording and telling on themselves. They don't get it. Oh yeah, these horses are chipped. It ain't like you're gonna take the horse and keep it somewhere. You're gonna end up getting kicked in the face or some shit, because horses don't play. And facial text on all these apps, but they won't loot without a mask or a phone. They are, you know what? You're right. But look, what's up, Unconscious One? And what's up, Reefa? Look, even with your face covered, if you have your phone with you, it doesn't even matter. If you have your phone with you, whether your face is covered or not, they know who you are. And you know, you sit up there videotaping the acts being done, so you're snitching on them, you're snitching on your friends, you're snitching on yourself, while your phone is on, is verifying your location and how long you was there. And then if they have any cameras around, they will confirm that it was you. You see what I'm saying? And there is no expectation of privacy. There is no way you can turn these trackers off your device. That's why the police could leave. That's just like a tsunami. Before a tsunami hits the beach, all the water leaves, and you got nothing but mud and sand. And then when you least expect it, the water comes back in full blast. You can't even outrun the water, and then 250,000 people are dead within 30 seconds. Yeah, you caught a Uber or a Lyft to the protest. You rented an electric scooter and rode, or you rented a moped and went to the protest. At this time you arrived here, a few minutes later, boom, this property was damaged there, and oh, their camera shows you. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? The camera shows you from the building. The street lights, the traffic lights have, I'm not talking about the red light cameras. The traffic lights have regular cameras. They call their intersection cameras just to record people coming into the neighborhood. There's a city called Sausalito in California. You can look it up for yourself. There's only one way into that city, in that community. Every single car that comes into that community is filmed. You know, and in Sausalito you have people who own businesses like movie theater chains like AMC and stuff like that. So and music artists and stuff like that. So everyone that crossed that threshold is they're noted. You know what I'm saying? And even when I remember I was in Vegas and got hurt by a slot machine, I dropped some money and the track light, the little disco light, shocked me, and I was downstairs filling out a accident report, and this was in Reno. This wasn't even in Vegas. All I heard was YBM 6'4", 32. YBM 5'8", 180 pounds, possibly 22. YBM. All I heard was young black male. Every time a black man came into this particular casino, it was noted. You see what I'm saying? All I'm hearing is the radios. I'm pretending like I'm not hearing it, but I couldn't believe it. YBM 5'9", this the description, code words. You see what I'm saying? So, even if they didn't want you to win on the slots, if they say, okay, we're not gonna let him win, because it's a young brother, he don't need the money. He just gonna re-up with it. But they'll let a senior citizen, they'll let an old black lady win all day. If you want to win at the slot machines, give the money to your aunt to play, your mom's, your niece. Make sure she go in there with 3 or 4 kids and play the slots. They will give them the money. You will never see a young brother pull that slot machine and a hell of money come out. No. Now he might win 300 or 400, but he ain't gonna get 2,000 or 3,000 or nothing like that. It's gonna be rare. So I'm saying, have you noticed that the news have not mentioned the NSA at all? It's like it doesn't even exist, like it's a non-word. You see what I'm saying? The NSA is all on top of this. They got all the data. These cell phone towers record people automatically and store the information. So a detective, all he has to do is look at the data on his computer in his office and then cross-reference it with Facebook, with IG, with Twitch, with all this stuff that you belong to, Facebook Messenger, all this stuff. The game has changed. You can't just get angry, run outside, and start shit today. You could do that back in the Martin Luther King rally, way back. You could do that, but not in 2020. Big Brother is always watching. That's all I got to say. Big Brother is always watching. And unfortunately, you can't take back what you did. You cannot unbring your phone to the situation. You can't unfilm what you filmed. Everything that you filmed don't even belong to you. You play the tables. I like to play the crap table, and I always bet on the field and the horn. And then my regular bet. And then I like Russian roulette. And then I like the slots. And I like blackjack just a tiny bit. But I really want to learn how to play the Chinese poker game. True, all on it, setting up the cases on our looters, technology on their asses. Yeah, and then like if you come dressed appropriately, then you are suspicious, even to your own people. If you carry an umbrella and a gas mask and wear all black and don't have any technology on you, then you look suspicious. Isn't that weird? If you pull your pants up, something, you might not be straight. If you know what I'm saying? If you brush your hair and comb your hair and stay well shaven and use lotion, something wrong with you. If you wear deodorant, something wrong with you. I remember one of these Hotep dudes said, he was standing by me and he said, I smell Macy's. And I was like, yeah, you do smell Macy's. And this weekend you'll smell Shaka Zulu. But during the week, yeah, you're going to smell Macy's. You know, Soul on Ice. Yeah, catch me on the weekend. I'll have my licorice root and everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I did a show called The Revolution Will Be Digitized. And the news actually reconfirmed what I was saying. Let me see if I could get some of that audio up. Hold on. This was mind-blowing.
Here earlier from the Santa Monica police chief saying that these people are going to be prosecuted. I mean, I wonder how they're going to have to kind of go through, I'm sure, media footage to look at some of the license plates that have been used, because I do think they'll want to send a message. This is not the way to get your message out.
Yeah. Well, in 1992, after that uprising, after that riot that occurred after the Rodney King verdict, in the months after that, there were detectives whose sole job was to go through all the news media footage and go through and look at license plates, look at faces, look at people. I think that, I think that's a guy that I arrested for this, or this, we're going to look and see if we can find this guy. And they made a number of arrests in the months after that, using footage that had been broadcast over the air by the various television stations. And that was before HD.
And all the cameras everywhere.
Yep, we got HD now. We got cameras all over the place that are on the outskirts of every building. So every place that gets looted, they're going to be able to look through the video cameras that are there and try to find out, who was in there. And so people are going to get arrested that think they've gotten away with it. There are people sitting at home right now on a pile of shoes that they stole from the Van store, for example, in Santa Monica, and think that you may not have.
No, you're looking at City Hall right there. It's
Now, they still didn't mention, see, we're buffering a little bit. They still, see how they make it seem like they're telling you what they're going to do, and like they're kind of warning you that you kind of told on yourself, but they still didn't mention the fact that your cell phone is the main thing that's giving you away.
It will be interesting to see the video, because we have so much more video now than we've ever had before, and seeing the video from inside these stores and what it looks like to see them just being targeted. Wow. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And it's stunning. Some people are dumb enough to record themselves doing this stuff. Well, you just marvel at, here I am. Hey, look, I'm stealing this. Or here, look at me set this fire. Watch me throw this thing at this cop, So people are going to indict themselves.
And they post it on social media.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's going to be a real plethora, a gold mine of information and images available to investigators from every department in Southern California who will be able to look at it and capture images of people, and they're going to go out and they're going to scoop them up. Maybe not now, maybe not today, but in the weeks and months to come, you can bet on it. Because, it needs to be discouraged, obviously. B, the situation demands it.
It's against the law. It really is. I mean, I just keep thinking about these.
See what I'm saying? I did a show a couple of days ago called The Revolution Will Be Digitized. I said this already before the news report. So when I heard this on the news report, I was like, yeah, okay, I wasn't crazy. Because all you got to do, and I recommend this to everyone, find as many Edward Snowden interviews as you can before they get removed. He gave all the game away. He told you, if you have a cell phone on your person, There is no expectation of privacy today. These apps are tracking you, and you cannot turn these apps off. You can cut your phone off, but because you cannot take your battery out your phone, you have no way of telling if the phone is actually off. They're going to get fines and court costs and restitution, plus child support, rent, light, food, pure dumbbells. Hard-headed, then they will be quiet for the next 10 years. Yep. They fell for it. They got everybody where they want them. You see what I'm saying? Unfortunately, there was some unfortunate deaths. There was a restaurant owner with a machete. They beat him to death in Texas. Some brothers tried to steal some liquor in the basement, but they started setting the place on fire before he got out of the building. And there's a lot of unfortunate deaths, which they're going to consider homicide, and somebody has to be blamed for that. You see what I'm saying? Even if the police run somebody over with their car, it's going to be a homicide put on somebody else, because they wouldn't have been out there if it wasn't for the people out there doing what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? They fell for it. I live in Protest Lane. There was a store who got hit so many times, a legendary store, but the windows are too expensive to keep replacing. So they moved. They sold the building to Uber. And then Uber was going to move in, but then they decided to refurbish the building and rent out office spaces. So where I work at, our windows are, over 30 years old, and they're so big that our windows are $3,000 each. And it ain't no insurance in the world that's going to cover that. We got insurance and stuff like that. It's a black business, but you can't tell us a black business when you're not there, when you don't see the black people standing in it. But what I'm saying is, some of these windows cost $5,000, $10,000 to replace. You see what I'm saying? And so they bust out Whole Foods windows, and they march past luckily they don't come up my street, but there's a main street. My street is shaped like a horseshoe or a boomerang. It's actually shaped like a boomerang. And but at the nearest main street, they're marching towards downtown from the east side of town, past my street, and all I gotta do is crack a window. Luckily I'm using compressors and stuff, but one day if I hear them, I'm just gonna crack the window and turn the compressor off, and with this condenser mic, you'll be able to hear people half a mile away, and helicopters and all that stuff. And that's why I made the song Occupy, because it was during them helicopters came out about 4:45 in the morning, man, woke the whole neighborhood up when they was clearing them people out of there. They have brand new persons waiting. Yeah, they really did it to themselves. They have nobody else to blame, really. I mean, and I'm not saying I'm against letting them know what's like. I'm not against like making a statement. I'm not against trying to teach people not to mess with other people, or next time you think you're gonna do something to somebody, you're gonna think twice. But what I'm saying is, this is where you went wrong. So the next time you try to do something, this is what you do. First of all, don't destroy your own community. And I'm not saying to go destroy another community, but if you burn down Target, 9 times out of 10, Target is not going to rebuild. And anybody in your family or friend's family or anybody that worked there, they just lost their job. And you know what? That Target probably had a black manager. They might relocate him, but the rest of them, you can forget it. Here's the time not to look sexy or be cool. If you want to paint your face black, you want to wear some special night viewing goggles, you want to wear some kind of type of scuba gear or Batman suit so you can run, because with your pants sagging and no belt, you ain't gonna be able to run or leap or jump or climb. You need to have pants with zipper pockets. You need gloves with grips on it. You need rope and hook. You need glass cutters. You need all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You need to paint underneath your eyes so you can see it at night. You need to know how to make a Mazel Tov cocktail. You need to know how to breathe properly through a gas mask. And if you don't have one, you need to know how to make a makeshift gas mask. You need to learn how to use a CB and learn the CB codes. You need to also have ham radio so you can communicate in greater distances. You need to establish a pirate radio station that be able to broadcast within 25 miles of the civil unrest. You need to be listening to police radio. See, I was listening to police radio over here, and guess what? When the protesters was on the freeway smashing innocent people car windows in and stuff like that, and I heard all those police cars heading to the scene, guess what? The police had radio silence, because I was listening. I listened to police radio anyway on a regular day from Chicago and Detroit and Oakland, and when that shit jumped off of the freeway, it was radio silence. Because when the real shit happened, they have a different channel that they turn to. As a citizen, right on, grown folks, right on, Key. As a U.S. citizen, guess what? You have a right to listen to police radio. Your funds pay for that, so you have a right to hear that in real time. But they have a right to turn to a private channel when they don't want you to know what's really going on. Now, I have an app that I recommend that's near and dear to my heart. It's called Scanner Plus. All right. It's called Scanner Plus. And for you iPhone users, I will drop that link in the chat. And for people who use Android, I'm sure they may have the same app. You just have to find it at the Google Play Store. Okay? I love this app because you can mark your favorite cities that you like to listen to. And it's not just for the police, it's for the forest firefighters, it's for the highway patrol, fire department, paramedics, and the police. And you should learn police codes. There's a link in that app for you to look for police codes so you can memorize them, so you know what they're talking about. And you can record the audio that you're hearing on the app. And if you're ever somewhere, and some of you people may have a citizen app, if you're ever somewhere and a bunch of police cars come by or something like that, turn on that app and listen to the police in your area. Now, citizen, this is Big Brother too, but since Big Brother is already in our business and all the other stuff we got going on is giving us away, citizen is Big Brother, but citizen will let you know when something is going on around you. So it's give and take. Citizen is giving you something, but it's also taking something away. But you know, it might be an equal exchange if they're warning you about a mad shooter around the corner. So I'm going to drop the link to the Citizen app also. Highly recommend it because it has a zone. It has a red color to let you know that you may be in a dangerous zone. So a red circle surrounds you and it lets you know when that level of danger is over, and that will leave you. What's up, Sage Wizzle in the building? They think the emergency broadcast is for them. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I meant when I said the revolution will be digitized. Gil Scott Heron said the revolution will not be televised. But I'm saying, but it will be digitized. And I'm programming a new weapon of mass production, and I'm wrapping up on some projects. I'm still working on your project, Grown Folks, and I'm just saying that this is, you can't just get mad and run out the door, okay? And you got to really peep game. Now it's time to nerd up. It's time to make being a nerd the new trend. I remember there was a time when brothers wouldn't get a flat top. But all of a sudden, all the dudes with the flat tops was getting the ladies. And whether you personally like a flat top or not, you better get you a flat top. You know, you better pretend like your legs is bow leg. You better, whatever you got to do. But I'm just saying, I remember when penny loafers and Argyle socks and stuff was popular. And I'm saying, to read and study and to nerd up and to be articulate. I'm waiting for that trend to come back. I keep a small little booklet of my rights in my pocket. Yeah, just like the show Revenge of the Nerds, man. It's like, but you know, who cares how people perceive you? You cannot control how people perceive you, no matter how hard you work. No matter if you buy the latest shoes, the latest fit, you buy the car that you know you cannot stand that car, but you know everybody else loves it and they know how much it costs. So you get it. But as soon as you get home, you switch to your other car. Just like you playing Gucci Man when you rolling through the hood, and then when you hit the freeway, you know damn well you playing some Coldplay or some shit, some Johnny Cash or some shit. You know it. You play shit. You playing some Smokey Robinson or something. That Gucci Man was just for the block. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know it is true, nerds, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not kidding when I say this. And I'm taking my own advice. That guy, Edward Snowden, I cannot relate to him. When I look at him, I can't even catch his vibe or anything like that. But what he says, you need to have a pen and pencil and take notes. There's a controversial talk show host. They got the best interview with him, but I cannot think of his name. But he's one of those he's one of those talk show people, radio hosts that get you riled up, and you know he gets you really riled up. I'm sure some of the violence and the protests over these court cases and stuff, he had something to do to get these people engaged with each other. Nerds are up on the technology, and nerds control. They're not control it, but they on the internet. That's their territory. Yeah, you could be hard locked up. You could be hard on the streets. Whatever. You run that shit. Can't nobody, you whatever, gunslinging, you the quickest draw, or you could knock 3 or 4 dudes out back to back. But on the internet, it's all about the mind, and the nerds are running stuff. Even the Chinese ruled the ocean. Their military was the strongest on the ocean until World War II. So I'm just saying that as fine as many informative Edward Snowden interviews as you can, and then you will say, oh my God, You even look back and say, wait a minute. Okay, because you know what I'm saying? Because if you use Google Maps and you have a Gmail and you have Google Maps on your phone as well as Chrome and the Google search engine, man, Google was with you everywhere. When you was making love, when you was taking Percocets, ecstasy, when you was tooting, when you copped, everything. Google, when you got gas, when you snuck off and went to that other broad house right quick, Google was with you, and it is noted. It is noted. It's on file. Yeah, and you know what? They knew because of ever since World War II, we had radar. A lot of people didn't realize we had radar. So they knew the planes were on the way to Pearl Harbor. They didn't wake their own boys up. They didn't warn we didn't warn our own soldiers because we needed an excuse to go to war with Japan. So if we let this happen, they would make propaganda stories out of it and say they came in the middle of the night and terrorized our boys and murdered our sons and daughters. It was a sneak attack. These motherfuckers got to go. And everybody go, yeah, kill those bastards. If they're going to do that to us, they're not playing fair. But because of radar, they knew that they were coming. You see? So they knew what store you was heading to. You probably even did a Google search on how to get to the Gucci store. A Google search on how to get to Tiffany's, how to get to the Louis Vuitton store, how to get to... Over by me, they stole 50 Hondas off the dealership lot. They came inside the dealership, got the keys, hopped in the car, drove off the lot. The cars got GPS. Only the professional car thief is going to know how to hide that car. But the average person, they're going to get charged with grand theft. And depending on the value of the car, they could possibly be charged with larceny or grand larceny. When they stole Missy Elliott's car, it was worth $300,000 for her truck. So the person who stole it got charged with grand larceny. That's a cat burglar's charge. That's a jewelry heist charge. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I am saddened and I am hurt by this brother being murdered in cold blood like that, as far as choked to death. What a way to go out to out. If they was going to kill him and we wasn't going to do nothing about it, they should have just shot him really quick and let it be quick. But he suffered for 8 minutes. I suffered with him. It was a pre-recording. There's nothing I can do because it wasn't in real time. I'm watching a recording and I felt like there's nothing I can do. You know, they don't even let a horse suffer that long. And let me see. Internment camps became legalized overnight. All the Japanese in prison overnight. And history is the teacher. Yes, this is very sad, but not the proper reaction. And you know what? There was if you want to look up one particular internment camp out here in California, there's one called Tanforan. Tanforan. Look for the pictures from that. There's a train station in that area that has pictures, a public train station that has pictures on the wall of that camp. And there's a shopping mall there called Tanforan. It's in San Bruno. That's where one of the Japanese internment camps were. And that's funny. It's near YouTube and all of those places. And I haven't made it. So I haven't made it through it all at once yet. yeah, it's nothing that you, if you don't, you know what happened, right? You don't really need to see it, like, because the guy urinates on himself, and it's a long way from where he was laying to the curb of the street, and that trail went all the way to the curb. If you want to see it, on my last show, I was playing Malcolm X's speech, The Ballot or the Bullet, and you can see the footage of people protesting and him being choked, but it's not uncut, and it's not from beginning to end uncut. But I wanted to bring an OG, one of our elders, who, he was drafted in the war when he was 17, a paratrooper, worked in the factories, and said, I want to move my family, away and have a better life. And he worked hard. That's all I can say. So he grew up being treated a certain kind of way, coming up through the civil rights movement, Jim Crow, and all this stuff. He's used to a certain experience based on where he was born and raised. So where his opinions and his thoughts is his own, and he have every right to feel that way based on how he grew up. And I'm sure he tried to make it where people like me and other people of the next generation didn't have to have the same experience. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's thanks, grown folks. And who gets to witness a murder from beginning to end? See, this is what makes me think that it's not so authentic, because how often do you get to watch a close-up of a murder from beginning to end from a person with authority, and then all the footage that comes after the fact is blurry and out of focus? All the footage that comes after is blurry, out of focus, and because a person is pointing the camera at the subject and they never turn the camera towards themselves, means that the whole conversation could have been a edit. It could have been dubbed in. I do it all the time when I make my troll videos. I'm dubbing in. I may hide the person's lips so you can't see what they're actually saying, but you can see their eyes and their nose, and stuff like that. I have substitute audio for other audios to make it seem like a person is saying something else. And now you have this software that make you move people's mouths the way, and you make people say things that they're really not saying. So I'm just saying that today you cannot trust anything you see unless you were there. And in the other shots of that murder, you didn't see any people standing there with their phones begging and pleading for his life, or filming with their cell phone. When they walked him from across the street, when he was laying on the ground, when they showed the camera angles from the opposite side of the street and stuff like that, there was nobody standing by that vehicle. But yet, the first thing we saw was a close-up from the vehicle. See, when it comes to filming, there's a technique called framing. So whoever held that phone framed the shot in a way that restricted your view, and they only wanted you to focus on one or two things. You see what I'm saying? The shot was very steady for someone holding it in their hands, and the audio was very great, and we have no way of knowing if the audio was dubbed in. And if I had a chance, I would do a demonstration myself. I would film something, do the audio in the studio, and then go, hey folks, look, we wasn't really there when that was filmed. It's that easy. It's that possible. So I appreciate everybody for coming out and checking out the show. I'm sure that playing the last poetry is so hardcore that there may be an issue with the last poet's material, but I'm gonna leave it up. If I have to cut those parts out, I will. And I appreciate everybody for coming through. and you know, with mentors like 313X and other people, you know, I got people that I know that work for Google, Facebook, and Apple, and I got people who went to college in Europe and New York for finances, and it's good to have different people in your life with different knowledge to, like your own cabinet. The president have a cabinet, you should have your own personal cabinet. The people that you socialize with and know should enhance you in some way, and likewise for you to them. And so, yeah, 313X is a part of that cabinet too, and I take what he say into consideration. So thanks, Observer and grown folks and Sage and anybody and Key and everybody that's in the background just listening. I appreciate it, and we'll do this again. I'm just in the studio working on some projects I gotta finish, and I'm also trying to get this new laptop up and running so I can merge over to better technology myself. All right. So anyway, thanks for showing up, and it's been real.